Have you ever met someone who changed your entire understanding of kindness in just a few minutes? Someone whose simple words hit you so deeply that you carry them for the rest of your life? This is the story of a millionaire who thought he was offering help, but ended up being the one transformed. And it all began with one sentence: "Translate this and my salary is yours." What happened next shocked him and everyone who later heard the story. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to True Story Tales for more inspiring real-life stories. Don't forget to like the video, share it with someone who needs a little hope today, and tell us in the comments what kindness means to you. Now, let's begin. On a warm Tuesday afternoon in Chicago, Ethan Walker, CEO of a fast-growing tech company, left his office earlier than usual. Though he was successful, respected, and admired, he often felt a strange emptiness inside, a feeling he couldn't quite explain. His life was full of achievements but missing something deeper. As he walked through Millennium Park, he noticed a young woman sitting on a bench with a laptop open and an old backpack beside her. She looked focused, though a little tired. Her clothes were simple, and her hair was tied in a messy bun. Something about her presence made him pause, not because she stood out, but because she seemed genuinely absorbed in what she was doing, unaware of the world around her. A few seconds later, he heard her voice. She was speaking softly to herself in a language he didn't recognize. He watched her close her eyes in frustration, then reopen them with determination. Curiosity pulled Ethan closer. "Excuse me," he said gently. "I don't mean to bother you. Are you okay?" The woman looked up and smiled politely. "Oh, yes. I'm fine. Just working on something complicated." "What language is that?" Ethan asked. "Turkish," she replied. "I'm trying to translate a long medical document for a family who can't afford professional help." Ethan raised his eyebrows. "You're doing that for free?" She nodded. "They're going through a lot. Their daughter is sick, and they need to understand the medical terms in their own language." Touched by her sincerity, Ethan sat down beside her. "You know," he said, "my company pays professional translators a lot of money for this kind of work. If you help me translate something today, I'll give you my entire salary for the day." The woman blinked in surprise. "Your entire salary?" "Yes," he replied confidently. He expected excitement, gratitude, maybe even disbelief. Instead, she slowly shook her head. "No, thank you." Ethan froze. He wasn't used to anyone refusing money, especially not a generous offer. He cleared his throat. "Maybe you didn't understand. I'm not asking for much. Just translate a small paragraph for me." "I understood," she said calmly. "And I appreciate it. But I don't want your salary." Something inside Ethan felt challenged. People begged him for money, opportunities, jobs, yet this young woman said no to an offer most would jump at. "Why not?" he asked. She closed her laptop gently and looked him straight in the eyes. "If I take your salary for helping someone, then it wouldn't be kindness anymore. It would just be business. And the world already has enough of that." Her words struck him like a quiet thunder. Ethan leaned back, at a loss for a moment. "But don't you need the money? You're working here in a park, using public Wi-Fi." She smiled again, this time with a softness that made something shift inside him. "Yes, I could use the money. Anyone could. But that doesn't mean I should take it for something my heart is choosing to give freely." He didn't know how to respond. "I'm Sofia," she said, extending her hand. "Ethan," he replied, shaking it. They sat in silence for a few seconds before she spoke again. "You know, Ethan, sometimes money makes people forget that kindness is allowed to exist without a price tag." It felt as if she had unknowingly opened a door inside him that he didn't realize had been closed for years. Curious, he asked, "Why are you doing all this for them? Do you know the family?" "No," she said. "But I met them in the hospital lobby a couple of weeks ago when I was visiting my friend. They were lost, confused, and trying to use Google Translate to understand serious medical information. It broke my heart. So I told them I'd help." Her voice trembled slightly, but she continued. I know what it feels like to need help and have no one to rely on. A few years ago, I was in the same situation, far from home, sick, and overwhelmed. If someone hadn't stepped in to help me, I don't know where I'd be today. This is my way of paying that kindness forward. Ethan looked down at his hands. He thought about his life, meetings, negotiations, contracts, constant competition. When was the last time he did something purely out of kindness, without expecting anything back? He couldn't remember. "Can I help you?" he asked quietly. Sofia smiled. "Sure. Hold this for me." She handed him her backpack while she grabbed another stack of papers from inside it. He expected something heavy or complicated, but the backpack felt surprisingly light. "Just a notebook, a pen, and a water bottle." "Where's the rest of your stuff?" he asked. "That's all I have with me today," she said. "Everything else is at the shelter." Ethan blinked. "Shelter? You're living in a shelter?" Sofia exhaled softly. "Not forever. Just until I save enough for a small studio. I'm working part-time and doing translation jobs when I can. It's temporary." Something inside Ethan tightened. This woman, who had so little, still insisted on helping someone else without taking anything in return. He felt humbled. After a moment, she returned to her laptop and continued typing. Ethan watched her, feeling strangely protective. "Seriously," he said. "Let me help you. Let me pay for something. Maybe a hotel room for the week? New laptop? Food? Anything." Sofia paused and looked up, her expression gentle but firm. "You're very kind to offer, Ethan. But please understand. I'm not doing this to earn a reward." "Then why?" She smiled, a warm, sincere smile. "Because kindness changes the world in small pieces. And every time we choose to give instead of take, we make someone's burden lighter. That's enough reward for me." Her words melted something in Ethan that success had never been able to touch. He stayed with her for almost an hour, helping her check medical definitions and search for accurate phrasing. It wasn't much, but he felt grateful to be part of something meaningful. When she finally finished, Sofia stretched her arms and sighed in relief. "Done. That family is lucky to have you," Ethan said softly. "I'm lucky to have them," she replied. "Helping them reminds me who I want to be." As they stood up from the bench, Ethan took out his wallet. He wasn't trying to buy her kindness anymore, he simply wanted to support someone who deserved the world. But before he could hand her any money, she gently placed her hand over his. "Ethan," she said, "if you want to honor what happened today, then don't pay me. Instead, be kind to someone who needs it. Not because they deserve it. Not because it benefits you. Just because you can." He swallowed hard, feeling emotions he hadn't expected. "I will," he promised. And for the first time in a long time, he meant it. As he walked away from the park, Ethan felt lighter, like he'd been carrying an invisible weight for years without realizing it. He knew he couldn't change the world overnight, but he could start with one small act of kindness at a time. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough. Over the next few weeks, Ethan found himself doing things he'd never done before. Paying for strangers' meals. Leaving generous tips. Helping employees who were struggling in silence. Spending time volunteering instead of networking. And every time he showed kindness, he silently thanked Sofia, the woman who had refused his salary and given him something far more valuable. A new sense of purpose. And he kept his promise. He looked for people who needed kindness, and gave it freely. Months later, he visited the shelter where Sofia had been staying. The staff told him she had moved into her own apartment and was planning to start a small translation service for low-income families. He left a donation in her name, without telling her. Because real kindness doesn't need credit. In a world that often feels rushed, competitive, and divided, it's easy to forget that kindness is still the most powerful currency we have. You never know how deeply a simple act of compassion can touch someone's life or how much it might change your own. So today, let this story be a reminder, kindness costs nothing, but it can change everything. And the next time you get the chance to help someone,